How you doing, Paul? Over to your left.
Hey, how you doing?
How you doing? Obviously, with the way the last two fights panned out for you, do you feel initially that there's a real additional pressure to win this, or are you just approaching this in exactly the same way that you would any other fight?
I think there's always a pressure to win fights. If you go in with no pressure, then you're in the wrong sport, especially MMA. What it's always about, for me anyway, it's not about the financial gain, it's about working my way to get a title. I was so close to being a title contender with having the victory over Ankalaev and Jamal Hill. MMA, one of these sports, it can, in the click of fingers, you can be up there riding high, or you can be down low. In my last two fights, haven't went my way. I believe that the cut to middleweight is more suited to my style as well as my frame. I was always a light heavyweight, or a middleweight pretending to be a light heavyweight, and I wasn't sure if it was achievable to get to middleweight. And then dealing with the UFC PI, it's made it more achievable. So now that I've moved down, I believe that it's going to have a lot more opportunities for me, and especially, as you're saying, with these two losses, I'm looking to get that victory back.
Andre Muniz, 15 submissions. Paul Craig, 13 submissions. Is it oversimplifying it to say that this fight's going to be won and lost on the mat?
It's one of these things about MMA, when you match up, and the UFC are very good at this, they normally match up guys relatively the same skill level, and they want exciting fights. You've got a southpaw in Muniz who's a great grappler, and you've got a very exciting grappler in myself. I'm singing my own praises here, I'm a very exciting grappler. But normally what happens is when two grapplers get the opportunity to grapple, they turn it into a striking match. And I can see that happening. I can see that this match is going to be won in distance management. Who's got the better footwork? Who can control that open space? That's where I think this is going to be won. But in the same breath, it's MMA, and the click of your fingers, it could be on the mat. I'm very effective off my back for MMA Jiu-Jitsu. So the guys in the UFC have matched this up very well.
And in terms of the drop to middleweight, in terms of being able to get down to 186 on Friday, is everything on track? Are you comfortable? Have you done test cuts leading up to this? How's that transition been? Because obviously 205 to 185, that's a bigger drop in weight than most other weight classes, because you normally just drop in 10 pounds, right?
Yeah, there definitely should be a weight class in between, there, like maybe like a cruiserweight or something. But the cut itself has been pretty good. We've hit all the numbers we needed to hit. As I said, we went to the UFC PI who done all the testing. Testing's fine when it's a case of looking on a sheet of paper and being like, yep, in theory, you can make this. So after we come back from Vegas, myself, my conditioning coach and my nutritionist, we sat down, came up with a plan, and we done a fake weight cut. But we done a weight cut gone bad, as opposed to, it's all great when you do a weight cut and it goes nice and smoothly. What we did is we did a kind of the top end of our weight cut. So we came in a slightly heavier weight than we normally would, and we cut more than we normally would. So right now, we're ahead of where we should be, which is always a bonus. So as we sit right now, you can ask this question tomorrow, and I'll maybe be saying there'll be tears running down my face, it's too much, but right now, we're flying and everything's going well.
And from a physical standpoint, in terms of like height, reach, cardio, all that sort of stuff, do you think that that's just gonna accentuate those advantages in that lower weight class? Because you were a big, strong 205er.
Yeah.
You'd be a huge 185er.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons we spoke about this move. We were, as I said, playing at it, and it became more apparent when I stood across the octagon in Rio against Johnny Walker, and I could see a physical difference. We definitely weren't the same beast that night. I think he was maybe like something like 7 to 8 kilograms heavier than I was, which might not seem a lot, but it's massive in the scheme of the fight world. So using my long reach, the skills that got me to the UFC in the first place, that wild triangle, that ability to take it to deep water, I think it fits better in this middleweight. And I'm expecting an exciting fight. And the same again, as I said, UFC match up so well, and that's why they've put this fight on the main card, and it's just under the co-main event where it should be.
Brilliant. And I'll ask it anyway because I think I know what the answer is going to be. Will you tell us why you're called the Bear Jew?
Hey, I can't tell you that, my friend.
You always get asked.
I know. You've got to ask. Well, maybe one day I'll be like, you know why it's called the Bear Jew?
Yeah. Paul, you've become friends with Jamal Hill since your fight with him. Sadly, he's vacated the light heavyweight belt recently. I think it was an Achilles injury. He's the second light heavyweight champion in succession to do that. Obviously, Yuri Prochazka with his shoulder. What do you make of that kind of situation in the light heavyweight division now where fighters have vacated belts? Obviously, it seems like a commendable thing to do to let the division carry on, but equally, are they potentially going to miss out on, I don't know, maybe like pay-per-view points or something else in the future? Is it something you would do, and is it something you think is a good thing that they're allowing the divisions to move forward by vacating?
You know, as a good and a bad thing. As a champ, you're the champ until you're beat. And the current light heavyweight champ, and John Jones, he's not been beat. The King's away, he's away doing his other thing, and all these other guys are scrambling to get the title. It's a bit of a shame that Jamal Hill has dropped the belt, because that was although I've moved to middleweight, I'm going to jump between two. If the fights are at light heavyweight, I'll go to light heavyweight. If the fights are at middleweight, I'll go there. So that kind of puts a spanner in my work, because a couple of fights, and I'd still believe that, and there's opportunities to get a victory. And because I've got that victory over Jamal Hill, there's still that opportunity to get that fight. Him vacating the title just puts that a wee bit further away, out of reach. What I think's potentially going to happen with the belt is you're probably going to get the winner of Blachowicz versus Pereira, and then they'll fight against probably Ankalaev for the actual title, and then I'll slide in again, just the sneaky Scot right in there. The boogeyman will come in, and then he'll take the belt off whoever's got it.
Have you spoken to Jamal since he has had to vacate?
I haven't, but I seen he was in getting some operation, and he's tough, he's young, he's got good people around about him. He was the champion, so he'll have the best care possible, and I hope the guy has a speedy return.
And in terms of your new division, at middleweight, there's a very surprising fight recently between Dricus du Plessis and Robert Whittaker, or surprising to a lot of people that Dricus won. What did you make of that fight and Dricus's performance? Yeah,
Bobby Knuckles is a guy for me. I always thought he would be the champ if Izzy wasn't about. But for some reason, it's maybe just too little, too late for him. Maybe it's coming at the end of his time. But it was a wild fight, and du Plessis is just wild. The way he steps forward. I'm not going to say he's not got great technique, but when you look at Adesanya and how he moves and how he sets up strikes, they're crisp, they're well thought out. Whereas I think the way du Plessis fights is probably how you're going to beat Adesanya. That crazy, that wild, that sort of rushing forward, that grappling ability, the ability to drag him to the mat. So it's exciting times in that division, because you're going to see a little bit of movement. And I'm glad to be kind of in the mix with these guys. A victory on Saturday night would put me in the title contention, not in the title contention, but in the top 10. Then I'd be looking to get these kind of fights, and definitely moving forward to get closer up to that ranking.
So would you pick Izzy to beat Dricus, or the other way around?
I think Izzy's going to drop his belt. That's what I think. I just think he likes people to kind of play into his game plan where he gets to do his thing. I think the way to beat him is be a wild man, and I think that's how this fight's going to go.
Right. Thanks, mate.
Just to go off of that, just over here,
yep.
It's been announced that Dricus is out of the fight with Adesanya. It looks like it could be Sean Strickland next. What's your opinion on that matchup?
Yeah, that's fun, isn't it? I think everybody's excited for that. I seen a video of Sean sparring with two teammates in the octagon. That's pretty much the guy. I'd love to fight against Sean. I think it would be an amazing fight. I like the fact that he stands there and he's ready to fight. He wants to stand in the middle of the octagon and fight. Does he have the ability to beat Izzy? I can't see it. I can't see it going any other way other than Izzy. I think his style, I can't see it going any other way.
Thank you.
Easy as that?
Paul. So, if I'm correct, you are a vegan, aren't you? Is that correct?
Well, to go to middleweight, one of the things we had to actually introduce was animal proteins, because the reduction in calories meant it was going to be really, really hard to get it only from plant-based. So for part of this fight camp, we've had to introduce animal proteins, and so it's not meat, but it's eggs and cheese and that kind of stuff.
And how have you adapted to that? Has that been something that's been a bit of a struggle to adapt to?
Oh, it's been hard. The first couple of times I had to eat eggs, they were making me sick. They were just it was everything that goes along with them what I dislike, and the old milk has been wreaking havoc in the downtown Leicester Brown. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, thank you.
That's how you kill that conversation.